Let's talk about this USAID thing, because that one's getting really interesting. So I think most Americans had never even heard of this organization, or didn't, if they've heard of it, they didn't know what it does. And I still am not totally up to speed on what it does, but it appears to be a group that is overwhelmingly hard left in terms of its employees and the people we staff it with, and the people that then create these NGOs to which this USAID then gives its money, funneling to various causes that are very woke in many cases, like large LGBTQ and that kind of promotional stuff. The defenders say that's not all what it appears to be, that some of those so-called woke projects in these dicey third world countries are actually fronts for groups that will be democracy checks, that will quietly organize democratic opposition to tyrants, that kind of thing. So it could be just, blatant manipulation of foreign governments under the auspices of Black Lives Matter. I don't know the truth. But what I do know is Elon is getting all sorts of bad press this week because DOGE is kicking the tires first of this organization. Like, they're going to kick a lot of tires of a lot of organizations, but they started with this one. And his conclusion was it wasn't just a matter of getting the bad worm out of the bad apple. It's the entire thing is worms. There's no apple. There's absolutely no flesh of the fruit. And the whole thing needs to go. It's been shut down now. Everybody's been told you're on temporary leave, paid leave. And only the essential workers will be allowed back into the building. And we'll tell you by Thursday at 3, I think, whether you are an essential worker at USAID. And I know when you look at like who's really objecting to this, it's all people we don't like. Like Ilhan Omar's really upset about it. So like I'm already in favor of it. Then I read today that Politico somehow managed to get $8.1 million of USAID dollars. How'd that happen? We heard the Megyn Kelly Show haven't taken one red cent from the federal government. None's been offered and none's been taken. But what is that about? And how, if that's true, how are they reporting objectively on any of this? Every news piece you hear about who gets money from this group is disturbing. We had the press secretary out there the other day giving a list that was deeply disturbing. And then what we had today or yesterday was Democrats outside of the Treasury Department protesting Elon because they're very ticked off about this and about him. And I just think they see an opportunity because Trump's so popular right now to kick the right-hand man as opposed to the main man. But take a listen to what happened outside of state in SOT 22.
We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass. Oh, you want to use our money to go to Mars? No. We want to use our money right here in Washington, D.C.
We will see you in the courts, in Congress, in the streets. Elon Musk is a Nazi netball baby. We will not take this. We will fight back.
Fight back. Fight back.
And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, and goddamn it, shut down the Senate. We are at war.
Stand with you in this fight, and we will win. We will win. We will win.
No.
We will win. We will
No one's
win.
joining him.
Oh my God.
No. We won't rest. We won't rest.
We won't
I'm
win.
just trying this new one.
We won't rest. Thank you, everybody.
No one's even mouthing it.
Dude, 90 days ago, you lost. What are you talking about? And I do love that the woman who's like, we're at war. We got to shut down the city. It's like you represent Newark. Yeah. You represent Newark and Orange, New Jersey, which have been shut down in that war for about 20 years now. Yeah. So maybe a little closer to home. Good Lord.
Let me clarify my political reporting. Steve Crack, our EP, tells me that those $8.1 million are apparently employees or agencies buying some very expensive subscription to Politico. It's not that Politico got grants or other federal funding. Okay, so I don't totally understand the clarification.
And
but
some of that,
they received
some 6.4 million of that happened during the Trump administration, or like that's what the level was in Trump 1.0. It's still like, why is this happening?
Exactly.
The government should pay for this. I think one of the things that Elon Musk is doing right now, as installing DOGE into the U.S. Digital Services organization, which was started under Obama, created under Obama to help like fix the problems with the Obamacare website, but then became this sort of government efficiency thing. By doing that, he is sort of seeing how the machinery of payments and tech happens with the government. This is sort of the difference between him and Vivek Ramaswamy about what to do with DOGE. Vivek, I think, was more concerned with executive orders and looking for these kind of efficiencies. And Musk is like, let me get inside the tech. And we're seeing the fruits. And that was initially on the side of Vivek Ramaswamy's approach towards this. We're seeing the fruits of the Musk approach this week. And part of this, from my point of view, is not good just in the sense of you don't want to suddenly have the U.S. not have its websites that you can look up information about it from database sets and stuff. And also you shouldn't suspend payment of services that have already been given. However, part of it has been really good in terms of people going, what? We pay for what now? Which organization? We've had a lot of listeners in places like Poland and Hungary come back with reports of like, oh, that's interesting that this magazine or this civil society opposition group suddenly is saying that we can't pay our employees because the checks didn't come through from USAID. It's like, what are we actually funding out there? I would point out USAID, it's $44 billion a year. The estimated cost to rebuild Gaza is north of $80 billion a year. So it's not necessarily about, we're going to reduce the size and scope of government just if we do this. However, it does show a thing that has existed and has been kind of put on steroids since the time of George W. Bush and the faith-based initiative programs. Government loves to give money to private charities, nonprofit groups, civil society groups, and it does that a lot in big cities like New York. It also does this in overseas in ways that most people are not aware of, and I think a lot of it is pretty skeevy. It ends up sort of rewarding your political allies, allowing people to like have a job when their administration or with their political team is kind of out of power. And a lot of it's gross. And so what Elon Musk is doing is sort of giving a margin call, wake-up call about the mechanics of that. And I think it is pretty useful. You can't, I don't think, shut down USAID without having an act of Congress. It is statutorily authorized by Congress twice. You can't shut it down,
twice. But I think they have a very good argument that they can all but defund it. There is an argument that they cannot, but having looked at both arguments, I'm convinced they can all but defund it. And I also think I don't care that they've made commitments to do these wacky things. They should stop. We're going to break our commitments because they were bad commitments that were being done in silent to left-wing groups that were not actually supported. Just listen here. Here's a double shot reaction from the White House press secretary listing some of the things we're paying for, and then Trump's description.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government.
The first term, though, USAID was something that you liked in some respects.
I love the concept of it.
That's the program.
Sure, I love the concept, but they turn out to be radical left lunatics, and the concept of it is good, but it's all about the people.
How about those initiatives?
I got to say, I mean, and Trump's right about this. I mean, the concept in so many ways is good. I mean, you don't want like, we're doing DEI dancing and Cork or something. I mean, the fact that there's I don't know what a DEI musical in Ireland is like. It's a bunch of drunk people talking about how much they hate Protestants. But the great thing about
Italians.
I was in Poland last week, and I was interviewing somebody. And before the interview, this very nice woman who was a judge, and she said to me, like, what do you think of Trump? And she said that the program that she was a part of was just like defunded, and they're all panicking about this. I was in Poland, And I happened to meet somebody who had a USAID related thing defunded that very day, which the odds of that should be very small. I mean, there are what Trump said is right in the sense that, there is on paper a lot of good. I mean, there are some actually really good things that USAID does. I mean, particularly in Africa, where you also have to compete with the Belt and Road Initiative of the Chinese, who are making their influence felt all over the world. So that kind of influence is great. But here is the reason that we are capitalists. Here is the reason that we are free market people. The problem with this stuff is there is no oversight in government. If somebody was spending this sort of money in a private company and you were losing money and you were like looking at your margins, you would fire the whole department. You're like, what the hell are we doing this for? There's no one in government to do that. So the instinct is right. Baby with the bathwater thing concerns me in a way, because there are good initiatives here. And it's like, it's all about going, we'll figure those out. But line by line, getting rid of some of this crazy stuff is a positive, because it's just grown and grown and grown.
We continue to face uncertainty when it comes to the economy, with a perfect storm brewing as Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point, as the largest generation is hitting retirement. A smaller workforce means a smaller tax base. You pair that with our growing national debt and our rising cost of living, and we could have a very big problem on our hands. So what are you doing now to protect your family for the future? Are you diversifying? Gold can be very useful to you in this. It can be a safe haven in hard economic times. And Birch Gold has a super great reputation, and they will make it very easy to diversify a portion of your savings, if you so choose, into physical gold. Birch Gold will help you transition an existing IRA or 401k, in whole or in part, into an IRA in gold, and it will not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. Protect your future today. Text MK to 989898 and get your free info kit on gold and a copy of The Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era, with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation, just information. Birch Gold has earned the trust of countless Americans looking to safeguard their savings. You just text my initials, MK, to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.